All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Voodoo here, and we actually have some positive goose Havoc Demon Hunter changes. So we're not going to waste much time. We're going to go over it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's just take a look at it. Okay, so here we are on the Wowhead beta changes page. There's some stuff for Havoc, which we're going to go over for the most part in this video. I do want to do a brief mention for Survival. Beastmaster is buffed up. It was doing pretty bad stuff. Sorry, not Beastmaster, Pack Leader. Just wasn't really functional. And then Survival got some tuning changes. Mostly just kind of nerfs to single target, buffs to single target, nerfs to AoE, shifting some of the damage into Mongoose Bite, Bite, and Flanking Strike. Stuff like that. But the main stuff here, of course, is going to be for Havoc. That is still the main focus of the channel. And we have the most changes Havoc's ever received. Yay! So, let's go over it. So, Eldrachi Reaver. Reaver's Mark increases damage targets take by 7%, was 12%. So now, with 2 stacks, this will be 14% of the target. It was down from 24. They started out at 30%. So that's a big nerf there. Incisive Blade damage increase reduced to 10%, was 15%. This is the Chaos Strike damage increase, also the Soul Cleave damage increase for Vengeance. Again, this started off at 30%, is now down to 10%. And then finally, Fury of the Eldrachi damage increased by 40%. This is the AoE glaive slashes whenever you use Blade Dance while it's empowered by Reaver's Glaive. And then finally, Vengeance only needs 20 soul fragments, was 30. This is actually really funny. This is where it was originally. It was at 20, and then they doubled the effectiveness of Reaver's Glaive, so they made it twice as strong, but they doubled the soul requirements. So Havoc went from 3 to 6, Vengeance went from 20 to 40. They're now back down to 20, which is really funny actually. But this is overall just good stuff. Reaver's Glaive, Eldrachi, whatever, was just obscenely powerful in single target. It was pretty strong in AoE too, because of Thrill. I'm surprised Thrill the Hunt didn't get touched at all. But pretty good stuff here overall. I'm happy with this. Probably now what you're going to do is always Blade Dance second, at least for Havoc, because you can keep up the marks by just Chaos Striking first. We'll see if that ends up happening in real life or not, but in Sims we can do that, so probably end up seeing that. And then the nerfs here are just to tone it down in single target, which is good. So a lot more of an option now between Reaver's Mark and Fury of the Eldrachi, which is great. Worst tree overall, which is great, and overall just good stuff. Now into Felskard. Demon Surge damage reduced by 6%. You might think that's weird, but they also buffed Focus Hatred to 50% when it strikes a single target, and they buffed Burning Blades to 60% of auto attack and Chaos Strike damage over 6 seconds, was 15%. That's a crazy buff. That's like a 400% buff. This is a lot of damage now. So Demon Surge was nerfed just to rein in the AoE a bit. Felskard's AoE was very strong. Its burst AoE, it's just its single target was like dog water, garbage, bottom of like a dumpster. It's a lot better now. Demon Surge, of course, still only gets the benefit when it hits a single target, which is bad. But at least it's 50% now, which is actually a pretty sizable increase. But Burning Blades being 60% of auto attack damage is like a crazy amount now. Burning Blades is going to be like one of your top damages on a target. Which is just so much damage. This should work with Annihilation. It used to. It doesn't currently on the beta. We're not sure if this is a bug or not. We'll just kind of keep it updated as it goes along. If this is a bug and it does supposed to work with Annihilation, this is a crazy amount of damage. If it only works with Chaos Strike, it's giving even further weird friction in the tree, and I don't like it, but you know, we'll see with that. Overall though, great changes, like massive single target buffs to Felskard. Not massive nerfs to Eldrachi, I guess. Hard to say because they're so high ahead and their sims are kind of weird and maybe unrealistic. But overall, good stuff there. Then finally down to Havoc here. I-Beam damage increased by 100%, which is great. I-Beam was doing no damage. This is a small buff to Felskard because they amp I-Beam by 30% when they're in their meta form. But this is also just like a great buff to both specs and to Havoc in general. I-Beam did nothing. It basically was only there to get you in demon form. If Furious Gaze didn't exist, we probably would have just canceled I-Beam. Like Fell Devastation did more damage than it. Doubling its damage is great, and it actually does more damage than your melees now, which means that nature is healing, which is great. A Fire Inside chance to refund a charge increased to 30%, was 25. So this is like back to pre-nerf numbers, which is good. It still isn't a deck of cards, so it's still just like random proc. But this is just a nice increase to AoE and cleave. None of our single target builds were taking this. Shadow Destiny didn't take it. The Inertia build that sims the highest in single target doesn't take like any of the Immolation Aura talents. You might take this with Fellsguard now, hard to say, especially since Fellsguard's AoE or Fellsguard's Immolation Aura bonus isn't actually simming properly, the one that just gives it 30% damage increase. But just a good little buff there, especially for AoE, where Havoc wasn't as good. And then an issue with the final damage of Blade Dance double dipping into the Nerevar Palace 2-set bonus. Basically, this just was like an increase to Blade Dance. This is just a bug. It's wasn't ever going to go live. So just a small little nothing change. And then finally, Vengeance, all ability damage increased by 15%. I haven't been keeping up with tank balance like at all. I don't know if like all the other tanks got it. Yeah, it seems like most tanks got some sort of damage buff, so good for them. I don't know, maybe to help the threat, not really sure. Those are the changes. I do have some sims now just to show you guys. So beforehand, I don't have the old sims. I made a video on it. If you watch my video from, this is going up Wednesday, so 2 days ago, I did the old video. So beforehand, ARSD was at like 1.7 million, 1.68, and Fellsguard stuff was down at like 1.1. And now we're here and it's 1.3 and 1.5, which is great. Fellsguard's only 13% behind now, right here. Now, I do think AR Shadow Destiny, which is the 1.586, is over simming a bit. So by looking at that metric, it's like 10% behind, and AR itself might be over simming as well by like 50 to 100k, which would put it only like 5% behind. Now that's hard to really quantify. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. But realistically, we're in a spot here where these sims are pretty close. Now, obviously, I still think this is a pretty big gap here. 10% is sizable, of course, but we'll see if that can end up closing the gap a bit. But still pretty good stuff here. I think in AoE, you'll still probably play Inertia. Eldrachi Reaver Inertia, because it's much more versatile, has more single target damage, and loses less single target when picking up the AoE talents. Fellsguard loses a lot more, but it does play stuff like Fell Barrage, so it does a lot of AoE burst damage, which is pretty good there. But again, like overall, we're in a much better spot of balance here. Shadow Destiny and Inertia are very close with each other, about even. Same with for Fellsguard, Shadow Destiny and Inertia are about even with each other. And you have your other Inertia variants as well. So pretty good stuff here for Havoc, I think. I think if you're reading these, you're very happy. Last week, I was like, okay, this is a step in the right direction. This is a further step. They're buffing the base damage a lot. They nerfed Eldrachi Reaver, which still might be unrealistic in Sims. We'll see when live comes out. They buffed Fellsguard. They made them both much more balanced in terms of the profile, with AR being better at AoE, worse in single target than it was before, and Fellsguard being better in single target, worse in AoE than it was before. So kind of balancing those out a bit, which is perfect. If you want to reach a choice, that's what you're going to have to do. At the point of the expansion pre-cycle we're in here, it's entirely unrealistic to think that they're going to change gameplay issues that these trees have, which at this point is, you just have to accept that. They're not going to go live with great visuals. They're not going to go live with great gameplay. But with these changes, they are getting tolerable. And I think getting tolerable is going to be just the best we can hope for Havoc, unfortunately, in the first season. And hope that in 11.0.5, 11.1, we see some much bigger, wider, sweeping changes to both the spec, class, and hero talent trees as a whole. But if these go live with just slightly more tuning knobs changed on them, Brill bumped down a bit, truly having a choice between the two, I will be happy at least, and Havoc will be in a much better spot to play. Because right now, Eldrachi's biggest issues are still there. And if you want to see those, I made a bunch of videos about them. But positive stuff, happy stuff, and there you go. So this is going to be the last video. You'll see a video Friday, but this is the last video I've recorded that you'll see before I go away. So if there are changes next week, I will not be covering them next week. I'll cover them the Monday after, on the 12th, I think it will be, which is the day I'm back and recording and stuff like that. So no build update, news update video next week, be the week after, and I'm gone next week as well, so I won't be answering comments, but I still have content scheduled for you all, so don't you worry about that there. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're more excited now, less excited now, stuff like that, and I will see you guys, I guess, when I'm back from my vacation. You'll have pre-recorded voodoo after this. So there you go. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you, Sky Elk, Andrew Keenel, 100,001 Zans, Brad Wisniak, Alpha, Darren Dark Terror, and Magic Man 133. Thank you all so much. If you want to help support me and help fund the channels and the videos, follow the link in the description to become a channel member and get some cool perks in the process. Again, thank you all so much. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.